Okay, welcome to the next video in our Modern Sukajan jacket series. All right, we've completed both shells. We have the inner shell and the outer shell. The next step is to start. We need to combine these two, and we're going to start doing that by doing the zipper. All right, the zipper is going to be our starting point for joining these two things together. Now, there's one additional piece we need to do for the zipper. Is we have these were in the cut file when we cut these. There's a little sort of waist piece that helps connect the zipper to the jacket, and then the elastic waistband to where the zipper would meet. So we don't want the waistband connecting directly to the zipper. So we have this little piece here that goes like this in the corner. Okay, and we're going to need to do that for both sides. All right, so first step is let's take these apart and then apply these little waist zipper pieces to the ends. Okay, so to start with, you notice that these notches are set up for a 3/8 seam allowance, and we're going to basically clip these together. We want to clip it face to face, so the shiny side is the face side, and we want to clip it like so. Okay, we're going to clip this, and we're going to be sewing just this way. We're going to stop short to give ourselves some room to sew the waistband when it comes time. So we're going to be just doing this to start. Okay, now let's clip that up. Okay, I've added a couple clips here just to make sure that this patch stays square. And remember, this is 3/8, so that's going to put us like on that first line to the right of the one. And we're going to want to start in, because we need to sew the waistband to this piece, we're going to start in a little bit, like maybe about 3/8 in. And because of the tightness of this, we're going to have to remove these clips as we go. Okay, so let's start about there. We need to do a back tack. And then we'll go all the way to the end and then back tack. And then cut. Okay. So that's what that looks like there. All right. And then we can do a little bit of a top stitch here because this is going to be where our zipper is going to connect to. All right, so let's do this top stitch. Okay, one thing I'm going to do with the top stitch on this is that instead of doing the top stitch the way we would normally do, keep this batting flat, we're actually going to, for this one, we're going to fold the batting over, because when we do the waistband, we're going to want a top stitch over the waistband, but we're going to want that to be to the inside. We're not going to want to put top stitch on the waistband. So to make it symmetric and consistent, because this is going to be folded over here, we're going to fold it over this way, and that way it'll continue all the way across. Okay. This is going to be less of an issue with the other shell because there's no batting here, but this one specifically is going to be different. Okay, so let's do this. And we're just going to go in a little bit, maybe an inch or so, just to get us started. All right, we're going to come back over on top of that once the knitted waistband's in there too. Okay, all right. Okay, similar thing for the other shell. We take our little waist zipper tab and we do face to face here, and we're going to be sewing on this. But we also want to clip We want to clip the perpendicular side just to keep it square. Okay. All right. So put your clips here. Okay. Same process. We're going to start from the zipper side and just work our way in. And then remember, we're not going to go all the way. We're going to leave some room here because we still need to apply our waistband. Okay, so right about here, and then we'll cut. All right, and then again, the top stitch we want to do on the inside to this side because the waistband is going to be folded inward, and we're going to want to do our top stitch for the waistband here. So to make these match, we're going to do a top stitch on this side, okay? And then similarly, we don't need to go all the way, just enough to get us started for the zipper, okay? All right, let's do the same on the other side. Okay, so we've got the little square at the waist for our zipper attachment, and so the next thing to do is we're going to sew these, the one shell face to face to the other shell, but with the zipper in between. Okay, that's how we're going to do the zipper, and we're going to want to put it roughly, if you think of this as being a 3/8 seam allowance, we're going to want it to be roughly 3/8 in from that, so 3/4 total. And that's where the start of our zipper is going to be. And we're going to work from the bottom up to make sure that we get the size correct. All right, let's pin this together, and it's going to be something like this. Okay, and we'll just pin that up. All right, this can be a little unwieldy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin up one side first, just to get it positioned correctly, make sure that our zipper, we want to align the zipper with the edge of the fabric. And if we pin this one up first, then we'll come back and then we'll work our second piece into this, but it should give us a better alignment. All right, so go ahead and start here and then work your way and just pin or clip this, the edge of this to the edge of the zipper all the way to the top. Okay, now that we have one side clipped to the zipper, we're going to take our other side, line it up, and then just gradually just move one clip from one layer to both layers. And that way it's a little bit easier to make sure you're getting the alignment correct. Okay, so just do this process all the way till you get to the end. Okay. Okay, now that everything's clipped, we need to switch to our zipper foot. Basically, this allows us to get closer to the raised edge of the zipper, because the foot only has one side. All right, so we just tighten this up. All right, I'm gonna do a little test stitch just to make sure that that's lined up. Okay, all right. Okay, now we're ready to go, and we're going to do a 3/8 seam allowance, which would be right where that line is to the right of the 1, and the 3/8 on here would put us like right there. And you can see that's why we need this to be a zipper foot, because otherwise the foot would be right on this metal part. All right, so that's what a 3/8 would look like, and that's where our stitch is going to land. All right, this is going to start to get a little trickier because we're working with the full jacket now. So just make sure that there's nothing, the jacket's not folded up underneath here. Make sure this is all clear under here as we're going. And again, we're at a 3/8 seam allowance, so it means we're going to have to move our clips as we go. And the beginning of our zipper is right here. So let's do our back tack. And then let's just keep moving along, and we want to be at 3/8 if we can. And you can kind of feel the metal of the zipper right there on this edge. Okay, keep working your way up, and we'll see when we get to the top. Okay, we finished this all the way to the top, and then while we're here, we're going to want to give ourselves, sew up the rest of this little patch piece. And again, I'm going to use this, stay on the zipper foot, because we do have the zipper right here, and it's going to be 3/8. All right, and so this is where we want to be, right here, 3/8, and we're just going to go again like about an inch in, because we still need to attach the waistband to this part, so we're not going to close it up all the way. Just about like that. Okay. Okay, now we're going to invert this. Get that out. And then we're going to do a top stitch on this. And it's going to get both sides. We're going to have to make a decision on which side we want to do the top stitch on, but it might just depend on, like if we want to start from the zipper up, that means we're going to be on this side. And I'm going to change the foot. You're going to have to like get this little corner out, maybe with like a ruler or something to poke that out, but we want this square, and then we'll do a top stitch here, and I'm going to change the foot back to the other one to do the top stitch. All right. Okay. We're going to do the top stitch, and the main thing is to make sure that we don't have any bunched up material on the bottom side, right? So we want to sort of like pull on this as we're going. We also want to make sure that this is up all the way. We want that corner to be up all the way. Alright, so similar process to all of our other top stitches. We're going to put this edge here at the edge of this. And we're going to just get started here. Do a back tack. And then we want to pull this tight, but also make sure you're pulling from the back side as well. All right, both layers. Otherwise, it's going to be, the back side is going to look funny if it's not pulled tight. Okay. All right, so just very carefully, just work your way through. It's going to be a little bit big bump here because there's multiple layers. So let's try and get through that. Okay, and now just do the same thing, but just very carefully, make sure you're pulling this tight, and then work your way all the way up to the top. Okay, and I'll see you there. Okay, as we get to the top here, we can stop short, a little bit short, when we do this top stitch, because we will also be doing. This is gonna meet up with the collar, and so we'll also be doing the opportunity to do another top stitch across here, coming back the other way once the collar is put in. Okay, so we don't have to go quite all the way to the top, and plus, the zipper is sort of in the way right now anyway. So so let's go to about here, and then we'll try to pick up the top stitch again when we come back this way once the collar is installed. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, so we did one side of the zipper, and it looks pretty good, and we did the top stitch. Now we need to do this other side. We're going to do the same thing, but with the leftover piece. We're going to basically invert this and then put this sandwich in between the way we did on this first one. All right, we're going to do the same thing, but with our other piece. remember, this has to be inverted, so if you had turned it right side out to test the other one, you have to invert it back again. And we take the end here. Make sure you get the right end. And remember, we had put it about 3/8 from the bottom, or sorry, 3/8 from the stitch line, so 3/4 total. And again, I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to clip to 1/2 first, since it's a little unwieldy. We're going to clip it to 1/2 first, and then come back and then add the second layer, just to make sure that we're getting the alignment correct. Okay. All right. So do that here all the way to the top. All right. Okay. So we clip this first one. Now we're going to start with, or add the second layer. I'm also going to clip this at the bottom just to keep it, make sure we keep it perpendicular. All right. And we will be sewing along this afterwards. So I'm just going to clip this, make sure that stays square. And then just gradually, again, we're just going to gradually take a clip off and then realign, reset it with both layers. All right. And again, this is face to face of the front. This face to this face with the zipper in the middle. Okay. And I'm just going to work my way all the way up to the top. And I'll see you when you get there. Okay, so we're back to our zipper foot, and again we're at a 3/8 seam allowance, and we're going to start right at the edge there, do our back tack. Now this zipper is right there, so make sure that we get around that little, the end of the zipper. Okay. All right. Make sure that you have the whole jacket here. Make sure that it stays flat. It's not bunching up underneath. And I'm going to get through this the thick section right there where the waist square is. You can see this is the zipper right here, but it's still at 3/8. All right, keep going until you get to the end, and I'll meet you there. All right, we're nearing the end here. Same as the other side. We're not going to go all the way to the top, so we can give ourselves a little bit of flexibility in how we deal with the collar. And then also when we do the collar, we're going to come back and do a top stitch anyway. So we're going to call it right here. Cut and do a back tack. All right, and then now let's do the top stitch. Let's flip it and do the top stitch on this. Okay, before we invert, we still want to get the this bottom piece. And we're going to do the same up to about here to leave us some room to work with the wrist, the waistband. And again, we're still in the zipper foot because we have some metal right there. And so we just do our back tack, 3/8 seam allowance. And then, looks like we didn't quite get it perfect, but all right. That's a little off, but I think we'll be all right. Okay, now we can invert it and do the top stitch. Okay, now we do our top stitch. We switch back to our regular foot. And remember, when you do this, it's going to be critical. You're going to want to pull this to make sure it stays flat on both sides. Pull on the zipper as you're doing that. But also, when you pull, make sure you're pulling on the back fabric as well. Okay? Otherwise, it's going to bunch up, and then best case you redo it. The worst case is it's going to be messed up. All right. We're starting. Again, our stitch line is going to be keyed off of the right side of that foot. Back tack. There's a tricky bit right here because we're really thick when we get to this top piece. Okay, and once we get over that, okay, now we're pretty good, but we still need to make sure that we're pulling top and bottom and keeping the zipper part flat as we go. Okay, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, as we get near the top here, we don't have to go all the way to the top because we're also, again, we're going to be doing the collar, the knit collar at the top. And then once we get to that part, we have the ability to come back from the top down. So let's get it close, but not too close. Give ourselves some flexibility here. So probably like right about here. Let's call it, and then we can come back from the top down once the collar's done. All right, so let's take this to the table and see how it looks. Okay, this was the second side. Looks pretty good, and then the back side is always tricky because we can't see what's happening, but it looks like we got it pretty clean. And also this is really slippery, so it can be tricky, but that looks good. Okay, now at this point, you may want to put it right side out, because it's still inverted. Put it right side out and then give it a try. Try it on. That'll be it for this video. We've done the zipper, and then next video we'll start on the knitted waistband and the collar. All right. Thank you for watching.